ready. All right. Here we have Lisa with us today, and we're going to be talking about benefits of studying in Canada. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Roshana.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's get right into it. So, Lisa, how long have you been in Canada?
This year would make my 6th year in Canada.
6 years, wow. And why did you choose Canada as your study destination?
Well, I chose Canada as my destination because I already had family here, so it was easy for me to get information in terms of resources as well as have support to branch on to what I was looking for.
Okay, so what are some of the amenities that are available to study permit holders in Canada?
When you say amenities, what do you mean?
So I know that they benefit from, traveling on the buses for free. There's this paw pass
Oh,
discount.
oh, for sure. As a student, uh, there are a lot of resources that makes it a lot easier. There tends to be a lot of services that allow for discounted services here for students. So, for example, if you're wanting to take out a phone line, there are student discounts that makes it so much easier for you to keep up with your payments. There are discounted bus rides in a lot of regions. In some cases, students don't pay anything at all to ride transit.
Right.
There are food banks available, student discounts. You mentioned Papas. That's one of that I had access to. So you can go to local businesses and get a discounted rate for whatever you're looking for, like restaurants. So you got to eat and stuff like that.
Right. So I know that in Canada there is, the notion of free healthcare. Did you benefit from free healthcare as a student?
I did, thank God. It ended on my last year as a student, so I was pretty lucky to actually have benefited from that. I know it has since changed and students are required to pay a fee, but depending on the service provider, there are, well, still costly, especially for someone like me that didn't have to pay at all.
Right.
There are reasonable costs for tapping into those extended healthcare is what they call them.
Okay, awesome. So with the free healthcare, did that include like dental? You were able to get your teeth cleaned, stuff like that?
Backtrack a little. So the extended healthcare is what gives you the dental and chiropractor and a specialist, right? And that can be provided through the health and dental plan that the school might offer or your student association might offer. And then the healthcare is the one that is more based on the province that you're in.
Okay.
Provincial, right? And that's the one that is now the fees that students are having to pay that I did not have to pay when I was a student. But I will also say this, it appears that it's from province to province that determines what the cost looks like, because while I'm in Manitoba and I was getting free healthcare, that was not the case for other students in other provinces, right? So it's not a one shoe fit all scenario. Depending on where you're going, it might be cheaper there than it is somewhere else.
And as with everything, like every province, every state has their own jurisdictions,
Exactly.
right? So yeah, so we totally understand. So as a study permit holder, did you have any restrictions?
Oh, for sure. For example, I was only allowed to work for 20 hours. When you have a lot of bills to pay as a student, 20 hours is really meager, especially if you're working in a minimum wage job. So that is probably one of the bigger restrictions that international students face, and then you're trying to balance that with school life, and I think that's why the government did that too, plus to make sure that you're actually going to school and not just working a lot of hours. But that was a big one, but it's absolutely doable, I will say that.
Okay. So I heard you mention the minimum wage. When you came to Canada 6 years ago, what was the minimum wage in your province?
I don't know what the minimum wage was in my province, but I know my pay was very low. I was getting probably like $13 an
An
hour.
hour. Yeah, but you were able to survive on your $13 an hour.
I lived with family.
Oh, well, that makes life
Yeah,
easier.
exactly. And
Okay,
that's why I say, everybody's scenario is
it's
not exactly
different.
the same. You
Right.
might talk to somebody else and you find that there were even more challenges. I was under this cushiony cloud of family,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it did meet my needs. And as a student, I had multiple jobs too that
Okay.
I kind of played around with to see which one gives you the best income.
Right.
While we're on jobs, I will say back when I was a student, I'm not sure if that is still the case. When you're working on campus, they don't really count that to your
Right.
20 hours. I
Mm-hmm.
was working on campus
Mm-hmm.
along with working in the community. So I was able to play around with how much hours I was putting in and how much income I was able to get in.
Right.
So if you're needing to maximize your hours or your earning potential, I would say look for jobs on
On
campus because that
campus.
is very helpful.
Right, right, right. Okay, that's awesome. So, we know that there is a significant difference in the tuition fees for domestic students and international
Yes,
students.
sir.
For the first year of university, what did your tuition fee look like?
The first year, my tuition fee was looking something like 12
12.
$1,000,
Wow.
and that's a lot of money, especially when you put it against the domestic fees.
Right,
It's not a pretty look.
right, right.
Um, so it's significant, and I can tell you it's constantly going up. The multipliers that they use is you just sit and think this is absolutely crazy. Um, but yeah.
So Lisa, with being able not being able to work as much as we would want with such an exorbitant fee for tuition, were there bursaries, grants, or scholarships available to you?
Um, there were, however, as an international student, they are way less.
Okay.
Um, I found that as an international student, the best way for me to have access to bursaries and grants in the institution that I attended, it's better if you're internal.
Okay.
So I got some of my bursaries through the Students Association that I
Mm-hmm.
was actively a part of. I know some students were into athletics and had access to bursaries that way. But I do note that university students tend to have more access to more bursaries.
Okay.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little less restrictions on them that way. But I was in a community college, and a lot of them stipulated that you need to be a domestic student.
Okay, wow. So since we're not able to capitalize on those opportunities, were there at least payment plans in place?
For sure, that's one of the silver lining. I would say if you're falling back, be in communication with the registrar and the accounts department. Don't try to shy away because they are really willing to work with students and figure out, how this payment plan can go. And I've known in some instances where they'll allow you to continue even if you have outstanding. Just be in contact with them, let them know what is happening. They're human and they will work with you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Lisa. So stay tuned for more on Lisa's journey as a student in Canada. And also, we heard her mention about Student Union. Many of us don't know what that is. Stay tuned to hear how student unions help international students in Canada.